Hey guys, welcome to the last Monday of live lessons. Thank you so much for coming. I really appreciate you guys coming to the live lesson. I think you're going to get a lot out of it. Today it's exciting because we're starting to learn about the skills you're going to need in 7th grade. So we're going to learn this week, we're going to be focusing on computation of negative and positive numbers. Okay, so that's pretty cool and gets you excited for what's to come next year so that you can have a little heads up and know what you're doing a little bit next year. And I love teaching about computation of integers, so I had to get in there and teach you it because I'm jealous of your math teacher next year. They get to teach you. So this week is my gift to you to help you through next year. So let me go ahead and admit a few people to the class, and you guys get ready. If you have your notes printed, that's okay. If you don't, that's okay. There's an editable version of the notes on Edsby in the journal post. So if you don't have any notes in front of you at all, whether it be on a tab or on in front of you printed, then make sure you go to Edsby now and have it pulled up. There is a clickable, editable version on there. So let's go ahead and kind of get ready here. It looks like everyone's pretty much settled in. So let's go to Edsby for a second, and I'm going to go ahead and share with you what we've got going on today as far as what you'll need and how to navigate through all of that. All right, so, oops, let's see here. All right, so here we go. Here is the Edsby post for today. This is the journal entry. Today we're going to be learning about integer rules for multiplication and division specifically. We're going to learn how to multiply and divide integers. I chose multiplication and division first because it's the harder skill. I believe it might be the harder skill for you guys rather than the addition and subtraction of integers, which you've kind of already played around with a little bit. So I wanted to give you guys extra time to kind of process and get used to that whole multiplication division of integers, and so that you can have some more time to practice before your quiz on Friday. So that's why we're kind of multiplying and dividing before we add and subtract. Okay, so we are going to learn that today, and the materials you are going to need are the guided notes, multiplying and dividing integers. They are found here, either the printable PDF or the Word document that you can click through. Good morning if you're just coming in. Also, we have an IXL graded assignment this week. This is your last assignment besides the quiz you're taking Friday. The shortcut for this week is 5R8. 5R8 will take you to 7th grade C16, which is integer multiplication division rules. Now, I was kind of nice about that because this one focuses not really on what the answer is. It focuses on if the answer is going to be positive or negative. So it's kind of like a two-choice skill, positive or negative, okay, which can go work to your benefit or to your dismay, because it's 50% right, 50% wrong, okay? And that's kind of the thing that stinks about integers. And in 7th grade, when you go to answer questions and stuff like that, you can get it right all the way except for that negative sign or that positive sign, and then it can go downhill from there. So it's really important to get this down so that it doesn't, you don't get your answer marked wrong just because you didn't put a negative or you did put a negative. Okay, so that's why we're kind of going to try to give you a little bit of extra time on that skill by starting it in 6th grade. So that, again, it is 7th grade C16, and that is 5R8 is the search shortcut. And also, I'm going to also give you a quiz bonus IXL skill. So that would be 7th grade C17, the very next skill, which is R8D. That one, you will be multiplying and dividing integers and getting the answer. If you want to try that one, you can get bonus credit added to your quiz this week, okay? And so go ahead and try that if you are on the fence, if you feel like your grade is not where you want it to be, if you feel like, oh my gosh, this is, you know, my quiz might not be a good grade, so I want to make sure I have as many points as I can get, that kind of thing. Go ahead and do that. And the same rules goes as we did it last time. If you get it to 80, you'll get 4 points added to your quiz grade. If you get it to 100, you'll get 6 points added to your quiz grade. Okay, so those are some chances for the last chance for bonus points in this class. Okay, so you have 2 more grades in the grade book, guys. You've got your IXL graded assignment, which is due on Friday by 11. And then directly after that at 11 is your Friday math quiz. And remember, the math quiz session, or all the quiz sessions, it's from 11 to 2 on Friday, okay? So you have any time between 11 and 2 to go on to Socrative and do your quiz. It's not gonna be ready before 11. It won't be ready, you know, too much longer after 2. I try to keep it up a little bit for stragglers, but I really want you to get that. You'll end up with a 0 in the grade book if you don't do it by 2. Let's just be serious about that. Okay, now that's how it's gonna go. And you don't want that 0 to scare you or your parents. So make sure you go on there and do it between 11 and 2. Okay, so you have a Friday quiz and an IXL assignment. Those are your 2 last grades in the grade book, unless you want to do some bonus credit added to your quiz grade. I've got resources here for you, Khan Academy resources that will help you if you don't understand today's lesson. And then we also have an optional practice here. This is a PowerPoint that is like a drag and drop activity. So you can do this if you want to do some extra practice. You could do the drag and drop activity. That was not the correct file. This one is. So if you want to do the optional drag and drop practice, you can do that. Okay, maybe before a quiz or something like that. This week we're going to do the same thing on Friday, where it's going to be 9 to 11 is obviously the office hours. 9 to 9:55 question and answer sessions. Come to my Zoom if you have any questions. And then at 10 o'clock, start the GIM kit, okay? And thank you for everyone who came to the live GIM kit last Friday. It was a lot of fun. Please remember to do that. That's like, it's a really good transition into the quiz to just think about it from 10 to like 11:15 or whatever, however long it takes to take the quiz. I'm gonna do math, and then go on there, do a GIM kit, and then take the quiz. That's kind of, it worked out for a lot of people. All right, so let's go ahead and get started with today's lesson. We do have a couple videos today. So we're gonna be watching a few videos. I haven't done them in a while. I wasn't, you know, all the way confident with the Zoom's capability of playing a video. And I know there'll be some glitches, but it seems to be working for some other teachers. But so hopefully it'll work today. If not, if the video stops for you, or if you can't hear it, or if it's laggy, just know that these videos are also shared on my YouTube channel. If you go to videos shared in math class, and you can watch them there, okay? And they're easily searchable. Okay, so today's agenda, we're gonna be learning, and then on your own time, you're going to be doing IXL, and then your quiz session is Friday. You have an IXL skill that's for a grade out of 100, and then you have a quiz bonus skill, okay? And that is, again, 5R8 is the one for a grade, and then R8D is the one for quiz bonus credit. I have a question here, I just wanna see here. All right, guys, if your screen sharing is blurry, that's just an internet issue, either on your end or mine, and there's nothing I can really do about that. Okay, so here is a tip for today. Tip to remember for multiplication and division of integers: if the sign matches, it's positive. If it's not a match, it's negative. So that's kind of an easy tip for you to remember. If it's a matching sign, it's positive. If it's not a match, it's negative. Okay, so let's learn about some integer vocabulary. Integer vocabulary, all positive and negative whole numbers are integers. So that word integer, it might not be as familiar to you. We talked about it earlier in the year. All positive and negative whole numbers. So what that means is not all negative numbers are integers. Okay, let's think about that for a second. Not all negative numbers are integers. There could be something like -5.5. That's a negative number, but it is not an integer, okay? It's not a negative integer. An integer has to be the set of whole numbers, which is 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, all the way into infinity, and their opposites. So -1, -2, -3. So not those numbers in between them, not the decimals and the fractions, okay? So that's just something to remember. You can be a negative number and not be an integer. All right, positive numbers are to the right of the zero. Larger positives are farther from the zero. Negative numbers are to the left of the zero. Smaller numbers are farther from the zero. Opposites in math and in integers, an opposite is numbers that when placed on a number line, they're exactly the same distance from zero. Okay, so like for instance, 2 and -2 are exactly 2 jumps away from 0 on the number line. Okay, so it's good to remember that. And basically what that means is they have the same exact absolute value. Okay, remember absolute value? Absolute value means you have the same number of jumps away from 0 on the number line. So opposites have the same absolute value, and an opposite means that it's like the positive or negative version of each other. That's why when we do stuff like flip a fraction, we don't call that opposite. Okay, we call that a reciprocal. Okay, so that's why it's important to note the difference there. Okay, so let's move. We're gonna, if you have those notes with you, remember either the editable version, which is on Edsby, or the printable version. We are going to go ahead and fill those notes in now. We're gonna start by filling them in, then we're gonna move on to some videos. Okay, so this is the top of your notes. It says, if the numbers you are multiplying or dividing have the ding, ding, ding same signs, that means matching signs, your answer will be positive. Think of it as a match is positive, okay? That's the way that I kind of think about it. A match is positive. If it's not a match, it's negative. So if the numbers you're multiplying and dividing have different signs, your answer will be negative. Okay, so let's go ahead and fill in the blanks here. Let me look, someone said I'm not recording, but it shows on my end that I am, so I don't know what's wrong there. Okay, so if the numbers you're multiplying or dividing have the blank signs, your answer will be blank. And then the next one says the same exact thing, I think. If the numbers you're multiplying or dividing have blank signs, your answer will be blank. Okay, so if they have the same signs, the answer is right above. Your answer will be, what is it, guys? Positive. So that means if it's 2 negatives, okay, and gosh, you're thinking, man, that's really negative. Well, even though it's really negative and you've got 2 positive, if you're multiplying them, 2 negatives will equal a positive answer. 2 positives, obviously we know, equals a positive answer because that's what you guys have been practicing, you know, all your lives is multiplying positive numbers, you know, all your mathematical lives. Okay, so if it's got a negative times a negative, it's going to be a positive. If it's got a positive times a positive, it's going to be positive. If the signs don't match, like you have a negative times a positive, that's a negative answer. If you have a positive times a negative, that's a negative answer. And we're just at the start of this, so we're going to be practicing a lot of these. So you're going to have this down before the end of this lesson. Okay, so if the numbers you're multiplying have different signs, then your answer is definitely going to be a negative answer. And this only goes for multiplying and dividing, guys, okay? So this is not, these rules are not for adding and subtracting integers. Those have a separate set of rules. We're gonna learn that on Wednesday. This is just for multiplying and dividing. All right, so now that we filled out the top of our notes, we are going to watch a couple of videos. And these videos are from PBS Math Club, which is a really good website for math in middle school. And the first video is about 6 minutes long, and the second video is about 4 minutes long. So just be prepared for that. So I keep looking at my chat. That's why I'm going away. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and click and make sure, I'm going to make sure this is shared. So just give me a second and I'm going to make sure that we got it all down.
So, what's for
Okay, I'm going to go ahead and bring it back to the beginning, and I'm going to turn the volume up, and then we'll kind of play around with the volume. My understanding is once I change the volume, you can't change it on your end, but just try and see if it's too loud. I apologize. I'm doing the best I can over here. Okay, ready?
Ever notice how indie movies seem to do weird
Try to pay
things with
attention,
the typical family?
So, what's for dinner?
Tomato spaghetti with jellified basil pesto and a side array of positive and negative multiplication beans.
Everyone's idiosyncrasies get multiplied, like, tenfold.
And Maddie, what would you like for dinner?
Tomato with liquid nitrogen, please.
And for your bean array?
I would like 2 arrays of 10 positive beans.
Plating now.
So, Maddie, what's the word at school?
In math club, we're learning about the multiplication of signed numbers.
Oh yeah? What about them?
The answer is positive or negative depending on how the signs of the numbers interact with each other. Sort of like Mom's beans.
2 arrays of 10 positive beans makes positive 20 beans total.
Thanks, Mom.
You're welcome. And Jasmine, what would you like?
Social conformity compels me to get the bourgeois jelly pesto in 3 arrays of 4 negative beans. Please.
Well, 3 groups of 4 negative beans gives you negative 12 beans. Here you go.
And don't forget the yuppie foam.
How can you eat that?
Positive times negative is negative. And negatives are my favorite.
You know, since your mom made multiplication beans, why don't we all go around the room and give a real-world example of multiplication? Like from our daily lives. Who wants to go first? Okay, I guess I will. While Jasmine and I analyzed the last samples of our geological expedition, this 5% solution of hydrochloric acid is changing the mass of this carbonate mineral by negative 1/billionth grams per minute. In exactly 5 minutes, the mass of this mineral will have changed by negative 5/billionths of a gram.
Negative times positive equals negative. Got it.
We hope to publish results soon.
Anyway, if you haven't noticed, I've been exercising, been losing 3 pounds per week, doing a video on YouTube. It's been 7 weeks and I've lost 21 pounds. Negative 3 times positive 7 gives you negative 21.
So 5 weeks ago, you were 15 pounds heavier.
Grace!
Negative 3 pounds times negative 5 weeks is positive 15. Negative times negative equals a positive.
Well, what if I deduct 1/2 of your allowance for that little remark? 10 divided by negative 2 is negative 5. The rules of positive and negative numbers still apply for division as well, young lady.
Grace, what is that on your shoulder?
Nothing.
It's a tattoo.
Oh, you're busted.
Grace J Math Club, what did you get?
It's a magic multiplication and division triangle.
Oh.
A negative times a negative equals a positive, and a positive times a negative equals a negative. My boyfriend and I drew it on our arms during our free period.
I thought you were breaking up with him.
We still might.
Well, I think it's cute.
You do?
In fact, when I was your age, I got a similar tattoo. When the numbers have the same signs, the answer is going to be positive. But if they have different signs, it's going to be negative. We're twins.
Okay, ew, I'm not having the same tattoo as my mom. I'm washing it off. Ew.
Oh, Grace. What's wrong, Grace?
I just can't seem to keep the rules straight for addition, subtraction, multiplication, and division. I feel dumb.
You know, sometimes when I get confused, I just talk out the problems in plain English.
Plain English?
I think of addition and subtraction as on a number line. 100 plus negative 2 means we start at 100 and we move in the negative direction 2 spaces to
98.
Exactly. Now, for multiplication, we're talking about groups of numbers. So 100 times negative 2 means 100 groups of negative 2, which would be...
Negative 200.
Perfect. Does that help at all?
Yeah, you know, it actually did. Thanks, Dad.
Now, I think we need to go to the living room, because Jasmine wants to show us a magic trick before the credits.
Gotcha.
Do you see this -4 I have drawn on my finger? Well, I will now magically separate the negative sign from the 4. 1, 2, abracadabra! Now, it is -1 times 4. With multiplication, you can detach and reattach positive or negative signs from the number.
Creepy.
-4 is the same thing as -1 times 4. And -1 times 4 can also be -4.
I like it a lot.
You can do it. Yeah. My hand's just...
Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and go to the next video, which is about division. Okay, so this one is going to be a little
I'm
shorter.
Jacob P. Math Club.
And it's going to talk about dividing integers. So give me 1 second here, get it all straight.
I'm Jacob P. Math Club, and this is News Minute. 1 minute of news divided into 60 relentless seconds.
Our top story this evening. This country is being divided. Is it politics? The income gap? Or did a mad scientist create a deadly disease?
Turns out it's negative numbers. They're dividing this nation into -1/2, and it's time we found out more.
Division is everywhere. In our airports, parks, even our schools. But now, negative numbers have begun dividing, and the results are shocking.
Well, Johan, the stocks had a pretty tough day today, getting stocked for -120 points. The slide was pretty constant. Over the past 8 hours, the exchange fell -15 points per hour.
That's not all. Division of negative numbers has been affecting the weather too. In Rapid City, South Dakota, the low last night was -30, but that's been halved today to -15. Still cold, but still negative.
How do we stop division from fracturing this country? For more on this divisive issue, we turn to our science correspondent for answers.
Thanks, Jonathan. I'm here with research analyst Dr. X at the PBS Institute of Math. Could you help shed some light on the situation at hand?
Well, the first thing you have to know about division is that negative numbers behave similarly to an infection. Here, we have two numbers. Let's examine them. If one of the numbers is infected with negativity, as this one is, then the answer will carry on that negativity virus. It doesn't matter if you put the negative sign on the other number. The answer still tests positive for negativity.
What happens if we cut the little sucker out?
We tried that. You can take out the negative sign with a little multiplicative surgery. -3/11 can be rewritten as -1 times 3/11. In some cases that can be helpful, but in this case you get the same number. And of course this is all part of my diabolical plan.
Wait, did Dr. X just say diabolical?
For far too long, positive numbers have ruled this world. Oh, we have one adorable pizza cut into 8 slicey wices. I hate pizza! It's time for negative numbers to divide and conquer. And with division, if there's a single negative number, the answer will be negative. Oh, it feels good to have my revenge.
Is there any hope from saving us from this divisive plot? In this world...
Hold on, Jerkontikal. I'm getting word that field correspondent number 1 has a lead on how to solve this divisive crisis.
I wasn't even close.
Breaking news. I'm here with Darla, self-described sarcastic genius. She says, and quote, these are her words.
It's like so obvious. When one negative number gets divided by another negative number, the negatives cancel out. Like when we use a virus to make a vaccine.
I'm sorry, division says what?
Say we have -2 divided by -10. If we use Dr. X's multiplicative surgery thingy, we can pull out the negatives to make -1 divided by -1. Well, here's the cool part. There's this rule. Any number divided by itself is +1. So the two negative ones cancel each other out, and we're left with +1 times +2/10, which simplifies to just +1/5. Negative divided by negative is a positive. Oh yeah, and mad scientists did so 5 years ago.
Dr. X, care to comment?
No! Do you know how hard it is to take over the world with negative numbers?
That's it for News Minute. 1 minute of news divided into 60 dramatic seconds. Clear.
Told you's a mad scientist.
Seriously, it's
What?
Jacob.
Jargonthal?
Jacob.
Jorgen Holla.
You're not even saying the same thing. It's Jacob.
All right, guys. So that was those videos showed us like why those rules apply to multiplying and dividing integers. So that's why I kind of wanted to make sure that you saw that, and it wasn't just all about just memorizing a negative, times a negative equals a positive and stuff like that. So here's a little graphic I wanted to share with you that does help you remember the rules, though. So this is pretty cool to think of like two smiley faces, which are obviously positive, right? Well, their eyes are the same. So like positive, positive equals a positive, negative, negative equals a positive. And then over here, their eyes are different. So a negative and a positive equals negative. And then a positive times a negative equals sadness. All right, so that's just one way of showing it. And this, of course, is with multiplication and with division. Remember, multiplication can be shown in multiple ways, so I'm about to show you that. And division can be shown in a few different ways. So let's go to our guided practice where we can go ahead and get started with this matching activity. Basically, we're going to start on the multiplying matching. And notice that there are some parentheses in here. Remember, a parenthesis up against another parenthesis equals multiplication. It's just one of those smushed in ways of showing multiplication that, the mathematicians, I always say, get a little lazy and they have all these different ways, shortcuts of showing things. So we're going to go over here, 5 times negative 7. Which one of these would be our answer? I'm going to go ahead and call on some people. So please start raising your hand and you can share with us what your answer would be for this matching activity. Let's unmute. Hello, Mr. Maddox Robertson. Can you tell me, please, what would be the answer here?
Yes, I can. It would be D, correct?
Correct. Negative 35, because a negative times a positive equals a negative. Okay. You can think of it as an infecting another. Okay. They had that in that video, which was a very timely video, I might add, with all the country division and the virusing and stuff. But yeah, a negative and a positive, it's like the negative is almost like a virus that infects the other one. That's always how I've thought of it as. So thank you so much for that, Maddox. Next, who thinks they've got the next one? Nikhil? What about this one? Negative 4 times 7.
Negative 4 times 7, that would be, I believe, B. Negative 28.
Yeah, B, negative 28, because 4 times 7 is 28, but that negative infects the positive, so it becomes a negative number. Good. And remember, it's not like you're changing something. It's really just saying negative 4 7 times. So it's that grouping of, that negative 4 grouped together. So just like they said in the video, I thought that was a pretty good way of explaining it. Thank you, Nikhil. All right, so the next one, negative 5 times negative 7. Who thinks they know that? Let's see. Hey, Arish, how are you? There?
Good.
Hi.
Okay, so it'd be A, 35.
Yes. Oh, why did my little things move all of a sudden? Yes, the answer is A, 35, because 2 negatives equal a positive. Awesome. So this would be, I guess my whole graphic moved. I'm going to just do that. Sorry, technical difficulties, Arish. Okay, so A is correct. Next one is, whoops, Arish and I both muted her at the same time. Okay, negative 4 times 5. What is that going to be? Leilani, what would negative 4 times 5 be?
Negative 4 times 5 would be negative 20.
Exactly, negative 20. So that's F, because a negative times a positive equals a negative. Thank you so much. Owen, what would negative 5 times negative 4 be?
E.
E, positive 20, correct, because there's two negatives, so that makes it equal a positive. So these are just like simple rules, and all of a sudden you guys know a lot more in math. So I love teaching this part. I love teaching those types of things. And then obviously 4 times 7 is positive 28. They threw that one in there just so that it wouldn't be like process of elimination, right? Okay, so let's go ahead and go to dividing. Okay, remember, same rules apply for division as in multiplication. Okay, so now we've got all these, and these could have been written as fractions, remember that. Okay, so number 9, 12 divided by negative 4. 12 divided by negative 4. Brayden, maybe you can help me out with that.
It would be C, negative 3.
Exactly, C, negative 3, because one of them's a negative and one is a positive. Awesome. And then number 10 says negative 12 divided by negative 3. Let's see if Trey, could you help me out with this one? Negative 12 divided by negative 3. Trey, you there?
Yeah.
Two negatives.
Two negatives equal a positive.
There you go. So which one would it be?
4.
4.
E.
Excellent. E. Awesome job there. Thank you for that. And then let's see, 15 divided by negative 3. 15 divided by negative 3. William Peak. What would that be?
A, negative 5.
A, negative 5. Exactly. You guys are rocking this, and you're totally getting the hang of it. Thank you so much, Will. And now let's go to Antoine. Antoine, can you help me out with this one? Negative 15 divided by negative 5. Two negatives.
That is 3.
What do two negatives equal?
3.
Yeah, 3. Positive 3. Excellent. So that's B, because two negatives equal a positive. Awesome. And then 15 divided by 3, I'm going to do that one because it's just too easy. That would just be D5. So what would this last one be, Martin? Let's see if I call on you quick enough. Martin, what would 10 divided by negative 5 be?
10 divided by negative 5 is F, negative 2.
Excellent. F, negative 2. Awesome. Thank you so much, Martin. All right, so you guys are really getting the hang of it. So we're going to go ahead and move on to the real stuff here. And we're going to go as quick as we can through this. I'm going to not call on you, but if you could maybe chat me the answers, and I'll give you guys some shout outs. We're going to go really quickly through this. And then we have one more thing to get to, which is about word problems. And then that's it. Because today's lesson is pretty easy once you know the rules, okay? So this is basically like a minute math. It could really be a minute math because you could go really quickly through it as long as you know your multiplication and division facts. So I look at this and I think 24, and then I ask myself, is it positive or negative? Oh, it's negative because there's one negative and one positive there. Remember, not a match, negative. Got your matching signs, positive. Okay, so this we know is 35 because 5 times 7. 14 divided by 7 is 2, but one of them is negative, so that means negative 2. Kind of doing this as a think aloud. Great job on that one, Owen and Jake. Great job, Maddox. Okay, this one says 2 times negative 9. That would be 18, but then 1's negative, so that means this answer is negative. It got infected. Great job, Maddox and Owen on that one for chatting me real quick. Ooh, a number divided by itself is 1, but one of them is negative. So you're right, Ava. It's negative 1. Good job, Ava and Antoine and Jake and Maddox. Good job. All right, 2 times 13. I know that one's 26, but one of them is negative. So I got to go ahead and put that negative sign on there, and you get negative 26. Awesome job on the people that got that one. And then I know 12 times 5 is 60. That's just one of those ones I like to always remember. I know some of you are avoiding the 12s, but that's a good one to know. But one of them is negative. So that means the answer is also negative. So negative 60 is the answer for number 21. Number 22, 7 times 4 is 28. But both of these are negative. So is the answer negative or is it positive on this one? I'm really confused because it's very negative. So is the answer negative or is it positive? What do we think? Brayden, Nicholas, Kate, Antoine, great job. You all are right. It is positive. So don't overthink those. It's positive because remember, they have a matching sign. It's positive. All right, 5 times 7 is 35, but one of them is negative, so that's negative. Both of these are negative, and they just taught me that that means it's going to be a positive answer. So really, I just need to know, I know 4 times 4 is 16, so this would be 4. Okay, and then I know 11 times 2 is 22, so this has to be 2, but then one of them only is negative, only 1, so that means that it's a negative answer. You know what's cool about this, guys, is you can do this with 3 factors, okay? So like if you're multiplying 2 times negative 2 times positive 6, like the answer is going to be negative because it's basically, you can just see if there's a matching pair or if there's an odd man out, basically. So if there's an extra negative sign that doesn't match up, then you know the answer is going to be negative. So it's pretty cool. All right, so 8 times 8 is 64. Okay, and there's an odd man out. It's going to be negative. Okay. All right, so 14 divided by 2, that's 7, but only one of them is negative, so that means it's negative 7. Is that right? Let's see. Yeah, Antoine says it's right, negative 7. Okay, 2 times 15, I know that by the clock is 30, like 30 minutes, and they're both negatives. 2 negatives equal a positive, so that is positive 30. And notice on the positives, you don't have to put a plus sign, but on this type of activity, like this kind of lesson, you might want to, but you don't have to. Okay, so just keep that in mind. Some teachers like if we're only learning about positive and negatives, they like to put the positive sign there just to see to make sure you didn't like leave out the negative sign, but you do not have to. So I'm just going to stick that there just to show you it's an option. Okay, 3 times 2 is 6, and both are positive, so that means the answer is positive 6. Whereas on this one, number 30, negative 3 times 2 would be negative 6. Okay, because there's that one negative virus. Okay, is the virus joke too soon? I think so. Okay, 50 divided by 2, 25. One of them is negative, so that means we have a negative answer. And you guys are rocking this. 2 times 9 is 18, but only one of them is negative, so that means we don't have a match. So that means it's a negative answer. Negative 18. Great job, Antoine. Great job, Jake. Great job. Man, you guys are really on fire. Any number divided by itself is 1, but one of these is negative, so that means the answer is also negative. So that's a negative 1. And then the last two, 34. I know 12 divided by 3 is 4. One of them is negative, though, so that means the answer is also negative. And then both of these are negative, so I know my answer is going to be a positive answer. 7 times 8. That's that one that everyone always forgets. I like to think of this one as 5, 6, 7, 8. So the answer is 5, 6, 56. 7 times 8. Okay, so there we go. We've got our answers for that. If you want to screenshot it, if I went too fast or something like that, go ahead and do that so that you've got the answers there. And then we're going to move on to what does this look like in a word problem, or what does it even look like as a fraction? Okay, so that's going to be interesting to see. All right, so I gave you a little time to screenshot. Now the next bit, okay, is also in your notes. All right, so this says write an equation using integers and solve the word problem. Grandpa Bill is shrinking by 1/4 of a centimeter each year. Already, and if you're doing the clickable version, I apologize because I did not put an equation in here. But if you are on Word or PowerPoint, you basically go to Insert Equation. insert new equation to make a fraction, but you don't have to do this part if that's too much. So then, and I have that at the bottom already set for you guys, but I just didn't do it at the top because I don't know why, because I didn't see about the writing equation part, I think. Okay, so this is -1/4. The reason why I know this is he's shrinking. That means you're going down by 1/4 of a centimeter each year. How much will he shrink over the next 3 years? So the equation would be -1/4 times 3. And I'm going to actually even insert the times dot because I don't want it to look like an X, right? So that is found somewhere in here. Look at all these fancy symbols. Here he is. He's really small. Okay. Times 3. But I could have used parentheses. Duh. I should have done that. All right. So that is our equation. That's really an expression. So I'll put equals, let's say, what's his name? Grandpa Bill? We'll say equals B for Bill. Okay. So shrinking 1/4, that means -1/4. Remember when we learned about real world integers and those words like debt, withdrawal, all that stuff? Well, shrinking would be negative. Okay. So what would this answer be? Well, the answer would be, and I'm going to copy and paste here because I need another fraction. You're seeing all my secrets here when I make things. All right. So copy, paste. Shoot, I'm a good. Don't do that. Copy, paste. Okay, whatever. We'll use that kind of fraction, which is definitely okay. So 3/4. 3 times 1/4 is 3/4. But is it positive or negative? Negative. That means he's going to shrink. So there's that negative 3/4 of a centimeter each year. So it's not that he's going to shrink a negative amount. It's that the word shrink is really that negative sign, okay? So the answer is -3/4. All right, let's look at the next one. The Mathville city manager owes $4 million to the police department. Already I'm thinking of this word owes. Owes is debt. That's negative, okay? So I'm already thinking -4 million. -4 million. I'm going to use the word million because I don't want to have to write all those zeros. 6 zeros though. Remember that always. Okay. $4 million to the what? This guy owes so much money. $4 million to the police department, $4 million to the fire department, and $4 million to the school board. How much money does he owe all together? Now this is basically, since they're all 4 million, instead of adding them all up, we're going to multiply. That's what it's wanting us to do since they're all 4 million. So since we're learning multiplication, that's what it's looking for. So -4 million times 3 would equal, well, you got it, guys, -12 mil. Ooh, that's a lot. So he owes 12 million. He doesn't owe -12 million. That word owe takes that negative spot. All right, great job on that. Now let's go ahead and look down here at these scary things. Okay, so I want to show you, we talked about integers mostly, except for number 36. Number 36, -1/4 is not an integer. It's a negative number. So I want to prove to you guys that the same rules apply to multiplying and dividing negative numbers, not just negative integers. Most of the time we use just negative numbers, but it's going to the same thing is going to be for negative, most of the time we're multiplying and dividing negative integers, but as you go to 7th and 8th and 9th grade and above, you're going to be dealing with negative numbers in general because they're going to be negative decimals, negative fractions. Same rules apply. So remember how to multiply a fraction? You multiply straight across and then simplify at the very end, or you simplify before you multiply. All right, so this would be 1 times 2 is 2. 5 times 5 is 25. You don't keep the bottom the same like if you're adding fractions. And then since they're both negative, that means the answer is positive. So you got 2/25 as your answer. You cannot simplify that because the denominator is not even, so you can't divide by 2. Okay? Next one. Okay, don't worry about positive and negative until the end. At least that's what I do. Okay, so division. So this one we got to do keep, change, flip. So let's try to hold that in our brains. So this is not going to be 3 times 1. We're going to do 3 times 4 because we're flipping that 1/4 to make it 4/1. So 3 times 4 is 12. And then remember we flipped it, so it's 4/1. So use your imagination right now, okay? 4 over 1. So the bottom is going to have a 1. So 4 times 1 is 4. Remember, you keep, you change, you flip. What's the change mean? Oh, the change means I'm not going to divide. You're going to multiply. Okay, you're changing division to multiplication, but it's multiplying by the reciprocal. So we have 12 over 4. We do need to account for the negative and positive, okay? One's negative, one's positive. That means your answer is negative. Well, what's 12 divided by 4, guys? It's negative 3. So you can answer that as negative 3 over 1 or negative 3, and that would be correct. All right, and the last one here, when it has parentheses set up like that, that just means multiply, okay? And you guys got to get used to that fact. Okay, it's just another way to show multiplication. So 1 times 2 is 2, and 3 times 4 is 12. 2 and 12. I'm just going to type it real quick because I'm going to show you that we can simplify this. So 2/12, we can divide both the top and the bottom, or in this case, the left and the right, by 2, the GCF, right? So this would be actually 1/6. And please stay, don't leave, because you want to make sure you understand what's required of you this week, okay? 1/6, but they're both negative. Oh, it would still be 1/6, okay? So the answer is positive 1/6, right? So screenshot that if I went too fast for you. Remember, if you don't get it, this is a really great, graphic that could help you, trick that you can draw real quick, especially to use on a quiz, because guys, I'm giving you all these resources and letting you use it on a quiz. I don't know why you wouldn't. Okay, so make sure you're using the study guide. I will be giving you a study guide on Wednesday that you could use on the quiz. So make sure you're using it and not just clicking through really quick, because you can only take a quiz once. Rate yourself. What level of understanding are you today for the skill of multiplying and dividing integers or all negative and positive numbers, and decide where you stand on here. Please don't leave yet though, because I want to go over the very next slide, which is I'm assigning you a quiz. Okay, so I am assigning you a quiz, and I'm also talking to you about, oops, I didn't change one thing on this. This is going to be computation. The quiz is not on functions. That was last week. Computation of integers. Okay, that computation means all addition, subtraction, multiplication, division of integers. That's what your quiz is on this week. From 9 to 9:55 on Friday, you can come to my office hours only if you have a question. Okay, there's the way to get to my office hours. Then from 10 to 11, we are joining GimKit. Come to GimKit review. It's fun. Okay, come anytime between 10 and 11. If it's 10:30 and you're like, shoot, I forgot about GimKit, still join, because we usually do 2 games, and I'll let you join in on the game. I'll tell you what the code is. And then, of course, our quiz session is from 11 to 2 on Friday on Socrative. Room name, Miss Mel Math. It's not up yet, so don't try to go there now. Okay, and optional practice is to get ready for the quiz. Any IXL from 7C1 to C19 is a great way to review for the quiz. Using the slideshow that I attached on Edsby is a great way to review. But remember, you do have an IXL skill due for a grade at 11 o'clock on Friday. And that IXL skill is 7th grade C16. That is not optional. That's for a 100-point grade. So don't ignore it. If you search 5R8, it will take you right to it so that you don't accidentally do the wrong one. I've had like 1 or 2 people do the wrong one every week. So don't be that 1%, because that's 1% of the grade level. Okay, so do at Friday at 11. And then if you want some bonus points, you could do the bonus skill, which is 7th grade C17. And that search shortcut is R8D. That's for the bonus one, okay? Not for the one for the grade. Okay, so please join me Wednesday on my live lesson about adding and subtracting integers. And then Friday for our GimKit review and our quiz session, okay? You guys have a wonderful last week of live lessons. Summer's almost here, guys. See ya. Bye.